Good morning, students. Hope everyone is doing well. Yes. Coming back to our studies. Before the vacation, we have studied about resources. What is a resource? Resource is nothing but a substance, anything that satisfies our needs is called as a resource. We have lots of resources which are available on the earth. The most important natural resources. What are natural resources? Natural resources are nothing but which are available from the nature directly, for which we do not need any help, which we do not need any other's help for getting those resources are called as natural resources. So natural resources like land, soil, water, natural vegetation, and wildlife. These are the resources which are available on the nature. Which are available on the nature. Okay. Now, so these resources are very, very important for us, for our living, for our livelihood. Okay. So now, like when you take land we are having in different types of landforms where we live, like mountains, plateaus, plains, river valleys, soil, which is very very essential for our growth of crops and for the growth of plants. Water is essential for our livelihood. Natural vegetation, trees, and wildlife. So now, if you can see that these resources, we human beings and these resources are interdependent on each other. Okay, now we will deal with individually. We will enter into the lesson and we will read each of the resource in detail. Okay, now coming to the first natural resource, land. Land is the most important natural resource on the earth surface. Why? Because we live on the land. Okay, now how much percentage of the earth surface is covered by land? About 30% of the earth surface is covered by land. But do you think that the whole 30% is habitable? No, it's not habitable. The almost all 90% is not habitable, because you know that there are different types of landforms as we have discussed, like mountains, plateaus, where the people cannot live. Okay, so among this 30% of the earth land, 90% of the earth surface land is not habitable. Only 10% is habitable. Okay, and the uneven distribution of the people, the uneven distribution of the population. Why is the uneven distribution of the population? Because of the differences in the land. Now, let us compare two places: mountains and plains. Now, where do you think which place is mostly habitable? Where you can see most of the population? Plains. Why? Because here the livelihood of the people is very easy, because where we can get all the resources and where we can sufficient all our needs, like we can get water, we can get proper air, and we can get food for our livelihood. We can do the farming, and we can rear our sheep, we can rear the cattle. But when coming to the mountains, it is mostly uninhabitable. Why? Because the people has to do a lot of hard work for their livelihood. Because here we cannot do the land in the near the mountains is not suitable for farming. Is mostly not suitable for farming, and it is a cold place in the near the mountains. It's a cold place. The people cannot live in that place. Okay, and the people the people who live near the mountains mostly depend on the cattle rearing. Okay, so this is why the two places, mountains, when we compare the mountains and plains, plains are mostly habitable than the mountains. Okay, now let us discuss the other reasons of the land. Okay, so the rugged topography, because you can see that everywhere the climate is not the same. The climate is not the same. Okay, and because of the climate also, the places are, the land is mostly uninhabitable. Okay, and now coming to the land use. Land use. What is land use? Land use is nothing but the amount of land which we use for what you call for to satisfy our needs. Like see, we do farming, we grow crops, we construct our buildings. Okay, we construct industries. Okay, so the amount of land which we use to satisfy our needs is called as the land use. Okay, the land use also different. Now, when it comes to the land usage, there are two types of land. What are the two types of land? Private land and community land. So, what is private land? Private land is nothing but the land which is owned by an individual. Okay, land is again divided into two types: private and community. Private land is nothing but which is owned by an individual. Community land is a land which is owned by a group of people, or we can call it as a public property. Like example, you can say that parks is a community land. Okay, and generally the community land is grown for the community land is used for the usage of all the people. It is not owned by any of the individual. Okay, so these are the two kinds of land. And the land usage is nothing but the amount of land which we use to satisfy our needs, like for construction of buildings, for farming, and to construct industries and other things. So that is what the land usage. Now, so when coming back to are we taking care of our land? Are we conserving our land? So land is a natural resource, but if we are not using the land in a proper way, will it continue the same way? Now you can see that because of the pollution, the land is getting degraded day by day, because of which the natural calamities like earthquakes, landslides, volcanoes, all these occur. Why all these natural calamities occur? Because of the changes in the land. Now last year in 7th class we have learned about the plate tectonics. What are plate tectonics? Plate tectonics are nothing but the rays which are under the earth's surface, because of which movement the changes in the land occur. So when the movement of the plate tectonics is very severe, what will happen? Natural calamities like volcanoes, earthquakes, landslides occur. Now, what is a landslide? We know about volcanoes. We know about earthquake. What are these landslides? Landslides are nothing but when you must have heard about the bomb blasting near the mountains to break the rocks. The big rocks will be there. So to break the rocks, the people of the owners, what will they with the help of the human beings, they cannot break those rocks. So what they will do is they will keep the bombs to break the rocks. So when they suppose these are the mountainous areas, and this much big rocks, they cannot break with their hands. So through with the help of the bombs, they will break the rocks. Now, what happens when they keep the bombs? The rocks will break. But simultaneously, what will happen? These we know that the formation of the rocks will take thousands and thousands of years, and they are inbuilt in the Earth's surface. Okay, when these rocks are when we are breaking these rocks, the soil in the Earth's surface will get loosened, and what will happen? The soil which is in the middle of the rocks and which is in the middle of the mountains, what will happen? That will become loosened, and that will start getting coming down. That will start coming down from the mountains towards the plains. Okay, when these lands, because these are called as landslides. Landslides are nothing but when the movement of the soil which is in the Earth's surface from thousands and thousands of years will get loosened and it starts coming down. Okay, that is called as landslide. Now, when this landslide happen, what will happen? What are the disadvantages? Nothing. When these landslides happen, only the thing is the soil. It will come and it will block the movement of the rivers. So, when the movement of the rivers will get blocked, what will happen? The water will flow from the other side. So when the water, see, as you know that the river has meanders and the river has a path. Okay, when these landslides block the way of the river, what will happen? The water will flow from the other side of the river, and the soil which is near the banks of the river will get eroded. So, and it will again form into the water, and the river will get blocked. So this is called as a landslide. Now, okay. So now we have to check the ways of the land conservation. Now, because of the growing population and the ever-growing trends, the increasing needs of the population has decreased the land fertility. Okay, so we have to conserve our land resources. Until and unless we conserve our land resources, we may not be able to survive in the future. Like, see, we human beings are dependent on the farming and agriculture. And if the land is not suitable for the agriculture, what will happen in the future? There will be no crops, there will be no grains, there will be no food for our livelihood, there will be no food to eat. We have to survive on the medicines. We cannot live without food. Okay, now, how can we conserve the land resources? Afforestation, land reclamation, regulated use of chemical pesticides and fertilizers. See, generally what is happening, we are using for the farming, we are using the chemicals and fertilizers which are not of the good quality. So which will reduce the fertility of the land. So if it continues in the same way, the farming cannot happen properly and even the land will also get degraded. Okay, now how can we conserve the land? Okay, there are different ways. First one is afforestation. What do you mean by afforestation? Afforestation is nothing but planting more and more trees. So that is the reason our government has ordered us to plant a tree. Everyone should plant one tree. Okay, and then land reclamation. What do you mean by land reclamation? Checking of the land every time. Okay, growing plants which are suitable for growing the crops which are suitable for the land. Then regulated use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Okay, it doesn't mean that we should not use chemical fertilizers and pesticides. It means that we should use the quality fertilizers and pesticides which can increase the quality of the land but will not decrease the quality of the land. And checks of overgrazing. Okay, so now what will happen? See, as we know that because of the many people from the villages are coming to they are shifting to from the rural to the urban. Why? Because for their livelihood. Now, because as they are shifting, what will happen? The land which belongs to those people is empty. No one is there. Okay, and the people who are in the rural areas, they are using the land as the fodder for their cattle. Okay, now when this land is getting overgrazed, when the cattle is grazing that land, grazing in that land, what will happen? The trees will get destroyed, and there will be no more trees because there will be no one to plant the trees. And in that case, what will happen? If there are no trees, what will happen? The soil will get loosened, and further what will happen? The land will get spoiled. So the land will get degraded. So these are the ways for the conservation of the soil, conservation of the land. Okay, now, so I hope you all have understood what are the land resources, how to save the land resources, and why is the land getting degraded. Now, coming to the next natural resource is our soil. Okay, soil is the next most important natural resource. Okay, now what is soil? What is soil? Soil is nothing but it is the grainy substance which covers the surface of the earth. You can see the top layer of the earth's surface, which is grainy, which is mixed up with the rocks and other substances like stalk, straw, everything. That is called as the soil. Okay, and now soil, how is the soil made up of? Soil is made up of the organic matter, minerals, and weathered rocks found on the earth. When the rocks, see, we know that the rocks it will take thousands of years to form the rock. When these rocks get breaked up because of the different reasons like weathering, erosion, water, rain, it will form the soil. Okay, now this soil there are different types of rocks, and in the same way we are having different types of soil also. We have learnt in our younger classes, like in our 4th class, we have learnt about the laterite soil, black soil, mountain soil, all these soils. Okay, now how is this soil formed? Soil is formed because of what does this soil contain? This soil contains the weathered rocks and organic matter. What is this organic matter? Okay, so as we are saying that soil is formed by the breakup of the rocks. Okay, when the rocks are there on the under the earth's surface, there are also plants, animals which are dead in between these rocks. So when these rocks will get break up, what will happen? The soil which is formed is included with this dead organic matter and minerals. So minerals are the important things which we can get in the soil. Okay. Now, so how does this happen? All this happen. How does all this happen? This happens because of the breakup of the rocks into the soil. Okay. Now, in the soil also we are having. Now you can see only the top soil. Like you can see the surface of the earth's crust. Yes or no? You can see only the top of the earth's crust. That is called as the top soil. Under that, subsoil. Okay. Under that, weathered rock material. Under that, weathered rock material. And last one is the parent parent rock. Here lies the parent rock. Okay, this parent rock is the rock through which the soil is formed. Okay, now these rocks get break up and it includes with the rock material like other organic matter and it forms into the subsoil, and this is the topsoil which we can see on the earth surface of the earth's crust. Now coming back to what are the different factors that are for the soil formation. What are the factors that are suitable for the soil formation? Okay, we are saying that soil formation happens because of the weathering of the rocks. Now, what are the factors that are leaded to the soil formation? Those are parent rock. Okay, now how can we are saying that laterite soil is there, mountain soil is there, black soil is there. Now, how are these soils formed? Because of the parent rock. Like it depends on the rock through which the soil is formed, and the climate. Climate means what? It includes the temperature, rainfall, and the weathering and humus formation. Then comes the relief. What do you mean by relief? Altitude, slope, determination, and accumulation of soil. Then flora, fauna, and microorganisms. Flora, fauna, and microorganisms. Flora, fauna, microorganisms. As we have said that in the soil formation, in the soil there are where there is organic matter is also there. So how does this organic material come? Through this flora, fauna, and microorganisms. And the time. Okay, it takes thousands and thousands of years to form the soil. Okay, now coming to as we know that we human beings are responsible for the degradation of the soil. Why? How are we responsible? We are responsible. Now, how is the soil getting degraded? How are we responsible for the soil degradation? Okay, so now the reasons which are the factors that lead to the soil degradation are deforestation. Okay, we are cutting down the trees for our benefit, for using of the soil, for using of the land. So when we are cutting down the trees, what will happen? The soil will get loosened and the fertility of the soil will not be there. Then overgrazing, overuse of chemical fertilizers. Okay, so these are the reasons for the soil degradation. Means, see, when these reasons will lead to the soil degradation. But we can't lose hope for this. We can increase the fertility of the soil. We can conserve our soil resource. How? There are different methods for the conservation of soil. So, what are the different methods that lead to the conservation of the soil? Are mulching. Mulching. What do you mean by mulching? Mulching means nothing but the bare ground between the two plants is covered with a layer of the organic matter like straw. That means, see, you can see that what will happen with the straw? With the straw, the organic matter, this straw, when the rain falls, the organic matter in the straw will enter into the soil and the soil will become fertile. And moreover, it also helps to, because of the rain wash, the top soil will not get eroded because of the straw. It absorbs the water into it and it will retain the water into the soil, but it will not allow the top soil to get washed away. Then the second one is contour barriers. So what are these contour barriers? Contour barriers are nothing but path between the path between the two, like the path between the two rivers or two plants, two farms is made with the stones, grass, and soil. It is built with the stones, grass, and soil. So when this will happen, when these contour barriers are built, what will happen? It will collect the water, and in the case when the water is not there, when the water is not sufficient for the crops, it will give this water to the crops, and it will also give the soil the moisture and fertility. Then rock dams. So rock dams are usually constructed near the low-lying areas. So these rock dams are nothing but the dam is with the layer of the rocks are constructed with the rocks, so that it will not allow the water, the rainwater or the river water to enter into the soil, and the topsoil will not get washed away. Then terrace farming. Terrace farming is nothing but, as you know, that plantation crops. So the mountain slopes are grown with are made into terraces, and the crops are grown over there. The grass, the crops are grown over there, where it will help the soil to retain itself. It will not help the water to. It will not allow the water to make the soil eroded away. Then intercropping. Intercropping means checking the crops. So not growing the same crop, and in the rows there will be 3 to 4 rows in the farm. So growing 3 to 4 different types of crops. Or suppose in one row they will be growing one crop, and the second row they will be growing different type of crop, and in the third row the same crop will be grown. So that the certain crops will retain the water and will retain the moisture, but certain crops will need less water, and certain crops will need more water. And when when more water enters into because of the rains or other reasons, when more water enters into the farms, what will happen? Because of certain plants, these water will not allow the topsoil to get eroded away. Then shelter beds. So shelter beds means, as you know, that between the crops near our homes also we will be constructing a small layer of the like a wall with the mud, so that whatever the water we are pouring will not get through. Because of the water, the soil will not get eroded. So these are the different ways for the conservation of soil. Okay, now we will move into the water.